I hope you guys didn't say anything important because it just froze for like 10 seconds and I didn't hear you.
We said some very important things. We discussed the meaning of life. That was it.
I heard the word studio.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so anyway, we're back here with Film Franchise Fortnights, and it's on the Cult Popture podcast. And this is a podcast. AJ, what do we do on this podcast?
On this podcast, we watch and discuss a film franchise chosen at random by the gods of the random number generator app, and yeah, so we watch it. No matter how many there are, we'll watch them and we'll discuss them. And this week, we had the arduous task of watching 2 whole movies.
And those movies were Cats and Dogs and Cats and Dogs, The Revenge of Kitty Galore. But it's not just you and I, Richard and AJ, along for the ride this week. We've got a very special guest in the form of the pop culture vulture herself, Nadeshda. And I didn't catch your last name.
Nadeshda Sim. I have a very ethnic sounding name, but when you look at me, as you guys are now, I'm not that exotic looking. Does that make sense? People always expect me to be some sort of mixed breed, but I'm actually not.
You're adding diversity to the podcast in at least one way. So
whenever we have a girl guest on, Richard, within 5 minutes you talk about how we'd never have girl guests.
Just point out the fact that they're a girl.
I long for the day where we don't have to specify that we never have girl guests. It's like how we always have to specify that we're recording from different cities at the start of each episode. And this is a first, actually. We're recording from 3 different cities. We're all on a Google Hangout.
Yep.
Different time zones?
Yeah, that's true. We're in two different
zones.
countries in 3 different cities. So I'm in Christchurch, New Zealand.
I'm in Auckland, New Zealand.
And I am in Melbourne, Australia.
But wait a minute, you have a New Zealand accent.
Do I? I actually got told the other day I sound like I was English. Someone commented on one of my videos that they didn't realise I was from Britain, which this sounds like a very strong Kiwi accent to me at least.
I could see it.
You reckon?
Nah.
Yeah, especially like a lot of Americans just kind of see like it's American accent and then British is just the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm not surprised a YouTube commenter said that you sounded British.
Yeah. But anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us one of your famous cores.
My famous what?
Core at the start of all your videos.
Oh, the core.
Yeah.
So that came from have you seen a movie called Evolution?
Yeah, man.
I was too scared of the trailer to watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I know exactly what you're going to say as well, Nadeshda. I know exactly the scene.
So there's a weird spiral. So I watched that movie as a young adult, and probably more than I should have. I probably watched it about 10 times. And I got the kakor from there, but then somehow we integrated it into a daily life. So we used to play, my flatmates and I used to play Tiger Woods PGA, which is a golfing PlayStation game. And when you did well, you'd go, kakor! But I don't know why. I think you can apply it to basically any situation. It's just a positive affirmation.
He also goes, Tookie, 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 Tookie. Richard, for context, this is when they're trying to lure an alien bird in a shopping mall, I believe. I haven't seen this movie in like 15 years, but that's the one part I remember was the
That's so funny. I remember like seeing the trailer before like, I don't know, maybe Cats and Dogs. And it was like, because it was around that time, hey? And it was like, there was a scene of something crawling under someone's skin, and that scared me too much.
Oh, you're
that
thinking
I was like,
of The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
That's right. Yes, and I am.
Evolution starred David Duchovny in one of the like purest examples of an actor being typecast. Because it was like, you're the FBI alienologist from the X-Files. Why didn't you do the same thing in a movie?
Yeah. And then he was in Californication just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But with having sex with lots of girls instead of aliens and being an
the same
FBI
thing.
agent.
Both don't exist.
All right. Well, enough horseplay. Let's get down to these cats and dogs.
I wish I didn't
films.
say that. Nadeshda didn't laugh, and it made me feel even more awkward.
So, the two films are Cats and Dogs, which came out in 2001. It was directed by Lawrence Guterman, who has only directed one other film, and that was Son of the Mask, starring Jamie Kennedy.
Yay!
Don't know if you've seen that in Nadeshda, but
I've
very
not.
bad.
No, I've seen The Mask. I have not seen Son of the Mask. It didn't really appeal to me, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's not very good.
No.
Like, I don't know. I mean, if you'd done your research for the podcast, you would have watched all the director's other films, but
Yeah.
but just the two films is fine.
He's kidding, don't worry.
Would one of you like to tell the audience what that film's about?
Cats and Dogs, the animals, not the film. They are all secret agents in like an underground battle between the two species, and we follow a dog who's accidentally winds up being put on a mission to defeat the cats, who is led by a fluffy white cat named Mr. Tinkles, who's hell-bent on world domination of some descript. And it stars Jeff Goldblum, but as a person, not a cat or a dog.
It also stars the voice talents of Tobey Maguire and Alec Baldwin, making it a 15-year early Boss Baby reunion.
Those were voice talents as well.
Yeah. Nadeshda, did you see the Boss Baby?
No, I have not seen The Boss Baby.
It was Oscar nominated.
I knew that. It didn't look like it would be.
Nah, it shouldn't have been.
I don't know if that's a weird comment to make, having not seen it. It didn't look like from the poster that it would be.
Yeah. Nah, it's
actually a hard-hitting drama.
Yeah, like the Medea films. Do you know they're all dramas? Except one. Anyway, Boss Baby, not very good, although I can't imagine Ferdinand was any better, and that was nominated for an Oscar. And that was like who even talks about Ferdinand? It was advertised for like 2 years, but then I don't know a single person.
The only time I hear
it.
people talk about Ferdinand is when they're complaining that it was nominated for an Oscar.
All right, so that was followed up 9 years later by Cats and Dogs: The Revenge of Kitty Galore. That was directed by Brad Payton, who you might recognise as for his collaborations with The Rock, because he directed Journey to the Mysterious Island, San Andreas, and Rampage. So he's, well versed in disaster films, which makes sense that he directed this disaster of a movie. I wrote that down. I thought of it this morning.
It's good.
All right, Nadeshda, what's your memory of that film like? Do you reckon you could give us a rundown?
Sure. So we have a new enemy, a new adversary in this one, which is, what is his name? I was going to say Mr. Tinkles, but that's the first one.
Kitty
Galore.
Galore.
Oh my goodness, it's in the title.
Kitty Galore.
Man,
In my head, I was like, surely she can't mean the character who's in the title of the film.
that's a sign of a great film when you forget the name that's in the title. And the Blu-ray's sitting right in front of me as well. That's even worse. So
I love that you bought the Blu-ray.
I did. I bought
That's
the
so
Blu-ray and the DVD for the first one. So
Wow.
excited to add that to the collection. So we have Kitty Galore, which is of course a play on Pussy Galore from the James Bond films, and she
Yes. No, she
has devised a plan to make dogs turn on their owners in an attempt to get rid of dogs from households around the world.
Now, when you say turn on their owners, you mean in an antagonistic sense?
Yes.
Right. Just to clarify for anyone listening.
I just assumed everyone that was listening has watched this film.
That happened. We actually got a comment that was someone saying that they watch them along with us, and I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for like 99% of our franchises. So what did you guys think of the films, and what do you think the general public would think of them?
When I first saw Cats and Dogs when I was like 7, the original film, and I remember thinking it was hilarious and thinking it was the funniest thing ever. And rewatching it now, I'm like, this is garbage, but it's not. I still have a soft spot for it, it still has a place in my heart because I remember how funny I once found it. And it's weird to say that I was disappointed by the sequel, but I guess that's how I feel, is that Cats and Dogs, Revenge of Kitty Galore, oh my gosh, what a movie that is. Like, there are more outdated movie parodies in Cats and Dogs 2 than there are in, like, any of the Scary Movie movies. Like, they do, like, Terminator parody. They do, all manner of James Bond parody. They, it's all over the place, and I struggled through both of them, but for the second, and I think the main thing is just, why does the second one even exist? Why did they make another one? What possessed them? And so all this became and I had to pay for it as well. I had to pay for it on YouTube, and it was standard quality. Like, it was SD. It wasn't. They don't even have the HD on YouTube. What's the point if I'm watching Cats and Dogs 2 if I can't watch it at the highest quality possible?
Yeah, it was very moving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nadisha, what about you? Had you seen either of these movies before?
Yeah, so I remember Cats and Dogs as a kid, and likewise remember it being just a barrel of laughs. And then rewatching it, there's very little humour in the first one. Like, I'm trying to figure out as a kid where I would have laughed. I mean, granted, I would have been about 7, and maybe these films are aimed towards 28-year-old women who work in finance, but it's just
I think there might be.
There's just no no jokes in the first one. It's just a bit mind-boggling.
I think what I remember finding funny was when the cat is in the tree and the dog pulls the branch down and slingshots the cat, and the cat flies straight towards the camera, and for a split second you see this look of abject terror on the cat's face, and I remember that specifically, thinking that was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen.
That's so funny. I don't mean to get on my little high horse and say that I'm better than you two, but I did see Cats and Dogs in the cinema, and I remember at the time thinking this isn't very good.
This is like when we did Camp Rock, and you were real into Camp Rock when it came out, and I was like, I'm too old for this when it came out, and you're older than me.
Yeah.
I don't have the same blind allegiance to the songs in Cats and Dogs though, as you.
I'll just like anything the Jonas Brothers do. So, well, that's interesting. And so neither of you had seen Kitty Galore.
No, I remember when it came out, and I sort of mentioned this before. When it came out, I was well into my film buffery. I was already writing Facebook statuses about movies all the time. And I remember I was just so confused. Because Cats and Dogs isn't a movie that doesn't need a sequel. I could understand the financial and whatever reasons for making a sequel to the first Cats and Dogs. But when you leave it nearly 10 years, I don't understand that. The same thing happened with the Johnny English sequels. Johnny English was fine. This is a good movie. But it doesn't need a sequel, nearly 10 years later. People have forgotten about it. If you want to do a sequel to Cats and Dogs, you do it 2 years later, not 9. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing a poster for this at a movie theater for Kitty Galore and being like, why? It was one of those things where I was like, Cats and Dogs was one of those movies that, before Kitty Galore came out, you probably could have convinced me it didn't exist. If you're like, oh, do you remember that movie with the cats and the dogs? And I'm like, yeah, Cats and Dogs. And no, that wasn't it.
It's a Mandela effect.
Yeah, it was because my memory of it was so vague. But then watching it again, there was a couple of things that I remembered. But
I like that you're proof that. I like that Cats and Dogs 2 is proof that Cats and Dogs 1 existed.
Yeah.
What a review.
That's the only good thing I can say about Kitty Galore, is that it confirmed the existence of the first one.
I thought maybe that it was going to be like a sequel in name only for any kind of vague brand recognition going in. I thought, it's a movie about cat and dog secret agents, but it's not. All the characters return, and they're all the dogs don't live long enough for those characters to have realistically returned.
Well, yeah, speaking of these characters, we've mentioned Jeff Goldblum's in the human cast of the first one. But you've got Sean Hayes plays Tinkles, the villain, so from Will and Grace.
Oh, yeah.
And you got Tobey Maguire as the main character, Lou, and then you got Alec Baldwin as Butch. And the film also features Susan Sarandon, Charlton Heston, John Lovitz, Michael Clarke Duncan, among others. Mm-hmm. So it's actually pretty decent voice casts. So this is pre-Spider-Man Tobey Maguire, though.
That's what I was thinking, is that it's not,
Because this film is... Like, this film would have been made around the time when it was like they knew he was about to blow up as Spider-Man. And so because this was July 4th, 2001 that this came out. So pre 9/11, at the peak of American patriotism, because it was on 4th of July. But... yeah, they must have gotten Tobey Maguire when he was still cheap, and then they couldn't get him for the sequel because
they actually probably recorded his lines about 4 years earlier.
True.
And then if it took that long to get the movie made, and then they're like, he's going to be big, let's release it. No, you'd release it after, not before. That's a weird decision.
Yeah. But, so the second film has the human cast is Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock. I've never said his last name out loud. I presume that's how you say it.
I thought it was McBrayer.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nadeshda? How do you pronounce it?
I would say McBrayer, but I always pronounce things wrong, so you should probably go with
That's
McBrayer.
That's true for McBrayer. Oh, well, so we don't even know if your name's pronounced Nadeshda then.
Oh, I'm so impressed with your pronunciation of Nadeshda.
Oh, I've been practicing all week. No, well, because you were kind enough to give us like a phonetic pronunciation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I get it's the, for people listening, I suppose you can't see it, so it's the ZHD.
How do you spell your name?
The ZHD makes a zhd sound, but I get nizdahida a lot.
Wow.
Where's the name from?
Nadeshda's Russian.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
My name's just 2 letters, so I've got sometimes people call me Adge, but they usually know better.
Yeah, I get called Martin a lot, but that's my last name. Like, at school, the substitute teachers would read the roll. So, it's got like the last name column first and then the first name column. And so they would read down the first name column for all of them. They'd be like, Alexander, present. Nadeshda, present. And they're like, Martin. And it's like, why would my name be flipped? Like, you're reading the same column the whole time. And they're like, oh, I just thought because Martin's a first name.
Richard isn't a last name.
Well, like, Richard is a last name.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, like, at least Richard's anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that was real annoying and dumb. But, the second film, Jack McBrayer, we had a little bit of a sidetrack there, but we'll get back on track. So Nick Nolte replaced Alec Baldwin. It was one of those voices that I was like, I recognize him from somewhere, but I know who Nick Nolte is, but I just don't know if I would know his voice from anything.
Nick Nolte.
And Neil Patrick Harris replaced Tobey Maguire, and who's a now adult Lou Beagle. But yeah, so he's got a lot smaller role. But it's the second time that Neil Patrick Harris and Tobey Maguire have played the same character before, because Neil Patrick Harris plays Spider-Man in the animated TV series.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
No, neither.
And also, because I was like, oh, you know how like the first one is like a Boss Baby reunion, but like 15 years before it happened. The only other thing that Neil Patrick Harris and Nick Nolte have appeared in was the 49th annual Golden Globes. So it's a 49th annual Golden Globes reunion.
You know, if something's a reunion before the thing it's a reunion for, the other thing is the reunion.
Yeah.
So, Boss Baby is a
cats and dogs.
Dogs reunion.
It's a pre-union.
Okay.
So it also features a new hero, Diggs, presumably a parody of Riggs from Lethal Weapon, because he's like a loose
That's
cannon.
another thing this movie parodies.
Yeah.
Because we need Lethal Weapon parodies in 2010. Is that when this came out, or 11?
10.
Okay.
So new hero James Marsden plays him. Cat Williams voices a pigeon, who they team up with, and Christina
Missed
Applegate
opportunity
voices
there,
a
though.
cat.
Sorry. Oh, just for somebody called Cat Williams to be playing a bird character.
It's incredibly ironic. Get bloody Alanis Morissette on the phone.
Not only is the one person named Cat playing a pigeon, but they're also not playing either of the titular animals. Like, it's so easy. It's right there in front of you.
Yeah. And Christina Applegate plays a cat, who they team up with to fight Bette Midler, playing Kitty Galore. It's a weird choice for that. But then it also features Roger Moore, plays Tad Lazenby, who's a cat.
Yeah, which is... So, for those of you playing at home, Pussy Galore is in a Sean Connery Bond movie. Roger Moore played James Bond, as did George Lazenby, and so they're not even being consistent with their James Bond parodies. They're just parodying as much of it as they can.
And Wallace Shawn's also in it, and so is Roger L. Jackson. Now, can either of you tell me one of Roger L. Jackson's claim to fame? It's been mentioned on the podcast before.
Roger L. Jackson.
Should I know it?
Nah, maybe not. Anyway, he is the voice of Ghostface in Scream. He's the voice of one of the criminal cats. He's also the voice of Mojo Jojo.
And also, Wallace Shawn, his character
It's real funny looking.
But he was played by John Lovitz in the first film.
Yes, you're right.
It's always weird when, like, one actor with, like, a recognisable, iconic voice is replaced by another actor in a sequel with an equally as recognisable voice.
Like Tobey Maguire and Neil Patrick Harris.
Well, like, it's them. You can hear it,
Yeah.
So it's just strange. Like, you would I would have either gone for an impersonator. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have made the movie.
I don't know. It's weird that Tobey Maguire grows up to be Neil Patrick Harris. Because I can understand getting different voices for like different ages, but yeah. So Nadeshda, we've introduced a new segment recently, which might alienate you somewhat, but we'll keep you into it. Where we're like just talking about up top random trivia, where it's trivia that mostly just relates to the podcast and not like the films in any way. But
it relates to the grand mythology of what we're learning by watching all these franchises.
Yeah, well, this is just some interesting trivia. So that I this morning I typed in every year that every film we've done is from, and I ordered them. So we've done 242 films, and what do you think? I'll get an answer from both of you, and you'll win a prize. What do you think the most recent year that we haven't covered a film from is?
Oh. The most recent year that you haven't covered a film. Does it include this year?
No, we haven't done one from this year yet, but
right.
Very good.
Oh, was that the answer?
No, that wasn't the answer, but the most recent year before this one.
Most recent year before this one, let's say, well, I don't know, 2015.
2015? AJ?
I was going to say 2015.
All right, so you both say 2015? It's actually 1983. We've done at least one film from every year from 1984 onwards.
I didn't understand the question.
Well,
yeah, no, I think I may have misinterpreted
shut
the
up,
question.
you guys. It was a cool question. And also, the year that we've covered that had the most entries in it was 2003, which had 15 entries. We've
goodness.
done 15 different 2003 films and 13 2001 films, including Cats and Dogs. So another interesting little tidbit that kind of relates to the podcast. This movie opened on 4th of July 2001. It opened at number 1 at the box office, which beat out Scary Movie 2. However, it fell behind in its second week because of the release of Legally Blonde. Which is a very good movie.
It's also our 5th or 6th dog-themed franchise.
Oh my God, so many fucking dog movies.
If you told me 2 years ago you're going to start a podcast where you review franchises, and then you told me a lot of those franchises are going to be dog-themed, I would have been like, of course, because there's so many dog-themed franchises. But to put it into actual practice, it's very strange how often it's come up.
Oh, you were talking about before the Bond parodies in this film. I don't know if you this might be common knowledge and I didn't pick up on it, but do you know that The second one has like a Bond opening sequence, but it's to get the party started by Pink.
Yes.
Do you guys know that there was actually a cover by Shirley Bassey?
Yeah. No, it sounded like her.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. I just thought, they're doing like some Bond
It's
parody.
still a weird choice. That song came out before the first Cats and Dogs.
Yeah.
And now they're doing a cover of it for this. This movie asks so many questions that, like, people who aren't that into film aren't going to ask. But people who are into film aren't going to see the movie. So, like, I'm in this, like this middle of this Venn diagram where I'm like, why were these decisions made? Why is no one answering these for me?
Yeah. Yeah, you're a very frustrated young man.
I am.
I just love there's absolutely no, as far as I can pick up, there's absolutely no relevance to this film for a Pink song or specifically that song. Like when they were making that decision, what was the drive behind that?
Yeah.
And then I
The
feel like
film isn't about starting parties.
No, and also the people that were watching the film potentially wouldn't necessarily know who Pink was if it's children between the age brackets of 5 and 10.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 28-year-old females who work in
finance.
Finance.
Yeah.
That's the joke. Yeah, they're like, this was just for the finance girls. But yeah, I didn't pick up with the Shirley Bassey, but she'd recorded that cover in like 2007, and I think it was used in an ad campaign. So maybe someone was just like, "Oh,
that's why it was used."
Yeah,
no, that's
like
100% why. It's because it already existed.
Yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't like Shirley Bassey was commissioned. They were like, "Oh, do this song."
I have no more questions about it now. Like that's why they used that song.
Well, there you go.
They should have used the Quantum of Solace song that she recorded that they didn't end up using.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that would have been weirder probably.
Yeah, because it would be all about quantums and solaces.
I think it's called No Solace or something. It's like No Solace in a Kiss is one of the lines in the song.
Oh, yeah.
But it's Shirley Bassey, so it's like no solace in a kiss, no good about goodbye. That's how it goes.
Do you know the rest of
it? I don't know the rest of it.
Ah.
Sorry, guys.
Do you
enjoying
know the
it.
rest of it?
I know it was beaten out by Jack White and Alicia Keys, Another Way to Die.
And how does that go?
Great song.
That's how it goes.
Oh,
And
do
then-
Skyfall next. Here's a fun fact that's completely irrelevant, but is relevant to
for
Skyfall.
it.
I'm part of
Yeah.
a singing group that actually sang that song on the weekend in a
What
four-part
am I
harmony.
doing singing it then?
Give us a taste.
Oh, look, I probably shouldn't have said that now, should I? I've probably dug myself a little hole with that one.
You're gonna sing before the end of this podcast. Yeah. Well, so AJ, how does the theme for Spectre go?
'Cause the writing's on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Are we going to keep just singing
Yeah,
James
what
Bond
about
songs?
Casino Royale?
Yeah, Casino Royale is the
Casino
best
Royale
one.
is the best one. It goes, I've seen angels fall from blinding heights, but yourself are nothing so divine. Just next in line. I'm yourself.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the best one.
You might be asking yourself, listeners, why are we talking about James Bond theme songs on a Cats
If
and
you've
Dogs
just
podcast?
joined us 31 minutes into the podcast.
But that's exactly the reason why, is because this movie is such an egregious and unnecessary parody. How many movies and like IPs have parodied James Bond? Like, if you're going
All
to
of
parody
them.
James Bond, you've got to do a good job. There's no point in just doing it. It's like starting a podcast. If you don't have a good idea, don't do it, because no one's going to listen.
Yeah, no one's going to listen even if you've got a great idea.
Yeah, that's true.
What you need is to get lots of girls to guest star and not make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
And
Without
people
using
be
the
like,
word diversity.
yeah, people are, what a progressive podcast.
They have girls that it's not relevant. They don't bring it up all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can do what we do. Yeah, so we talk about titles a lot on this podcast, and I want to take it back from titles just to begin with. And I don't know, are you guys fans of taglines?
I love a good tagline.
Yeah, I
Actually,
saw.
The movie that really impressed me with its tagline recently was Ocean's 8.
Yeah, man.
Is that you're about to say?
Yeah, I saw that in your review. That's such a fucking good tagline.
It's such a good
Both of them
tagline.
were pretty good.
Yeah, so Nadeshda, what one are you referring to?
So the tagline to Ocean's 8 is every con has its pros.
That's very
And I mean,
good.
that is brilliant, though.
Yeah. They released another one, which was they've got what it takes to take what you've got.
Oh, I like that.
That's real cool.
Yeah, that's
The
good.
best thing about the movie.
I thought the movie was fine. I thought, like,
Yeah, I did too.
yeah, I think you were too harsh on it in your review, AJ.
Okay.
There you go. Cult Popture's more than one voice.
No,
I
it's a
disagree
hive
with
mind.
one of the reviews. Yeah, so these films had a couple of taglines. So the first one I thought was real interesting because it's like across the top of the poster it says, "Who will you root for?" It's not really a case of that, is it? It's just the dogs are the good guys.
Well, they
Yeah.
actually played on that in the DVD, which I own,
Oh.
where when you open up the menu, you get to choose your team, cats or dogs, and I thought it would then kick into some sort of cool like mini game or something, but it just opens the play screen with either a dog or a cat picture on it. So
Which did you choose?
I chose dogs,
Oh,
obviously.
yeah, they're better.
Yeah,
AJ?
only weirdos like
They're
cats.
the good guys. I like cats.
Ooh.
No, actually, here's the thing. I like both. I have a cat. I have 2 cats. Therefore, I feel like I'm lumped into this cat person persona. But I'd like to say that
I'd say
just
you're
like
more of
animals.
a badger person.
Yeah,
Like a little badger man.
I am. I'm a badger guy. That's my superhero.
The badger
That's my
guy.
Patronus.
Yeah. No, badgers are real cool though. Everyone's real into badgers now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be something cool.
Yeah. You'd be like a
I'd
little...
be the naked cat that Kitty Galore is.
Yeah. Well, because Kitty Galore, that is a breed of cat, but they give her like a backstory and say that she was like got all her fur burned off.
Yeah.
It's very
So
dark
what happens
scene.
with those with cats of that breed within that world? Are they also cats that have had accidents?
I
Yeah, every
guess.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
a breed of cats that have had tragic hair accidents.
And the cats and dogs averse. That's actually canon. What other
CDEU.
taglines are we talking about?
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting that one, the film was very heavily weighted towards dogs. But
That's what I liked about the second one, which is a weird. I didn't think I'd say that, but the second one is kind of about. is kind of addressing like, after all these years, cats and dogs are working together, and I feel like that's what the first movie probably should have done.
yeah.
Like that's the idea you get to make the movie in the first place is like, oh, what if cats and dogs work together? Maybe that's how the sequel happened. Someone came up with that idea and someone's like, there's already a movie about cats and dogs, and he's like, all right, I'll just make it a sequel to it. These are my theories.
Yeah, AJ
We've covered
loves
how
behind
they-
the scenes theories.
How they got Shirley Bassey's song, why it's Get This Party Started, and this is my theory for why these movies exist.
Well, the second film had a tagline which was just like real spies, only furrier. Drawing in that furry crowd.
The very important furry crowd. It's right next to females who work in finance.
Just like females, only in finance. That was the other tagline. And you were like, oh, representation finally. And it's R28.
Yeah.
It's only for and it's you can't be older than 28, but you have to also be over 27. Right in there. Now, titles. We talk about titles a lot on this podcast. Nadeshda, what do you think of like titling as an art form?
Wow, what a question. This is probably not actually answering your question at all, but I feel upset by the fact that as a James Bond parody in the second film, it didn't have a more clever title. Like it even says the Revenge of Kitty Galore, as if we had been introduced to Kitty Galore as a character in the first film, as if we cared about her revenge.
Yeah.
And yet it's established and then resolved in one film.
Yeah, it feels like you've missed something. I mean, when Cats and Dogs: The Revenge of Kitty Galore came out, and I was like, I don't think she was in the first one, so I must have missed when she was introduced.
I must have missed the second film, and this is rounding off a trilogy. Because you can have 3 films in 9 years. You know, that's more acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, the Cats and Dogs just feels like there's a middle film that didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what I was going to say about the title. That it feels like we've missed something. And it feels like they should have made a very obvious James Bond title parody, which AJ is going to give us a few suggestions.
From Litterbox with Love.
Are you calling Russia like a place, like just a crap heap?
No, I would never say that while we have a Russian person on the podcast.
Yeah, it's just the one time you make fun of Russia, AJ.
Golden Cat's Eye. Casino Royale. There you go.
Oh,
that's a good one.
The cat who scratched me.
You only live 9 times.
Oh, that's the best one.
Nice.
Wow. Forget what I'm saying. That was the best one.
Like Gold Paw or something like Goldfinger. There's something you could do something there.
Then you're getting into Austin Powers territory, though.
True.
The Spy Who Nuzzled Me.
The Spy Who Humped Me? Is that the dog equivalent of shagged?
Jeez. Well, there's The Spy Who Dumped Me coming out.
Oh, yeah. Humped, Dumped. That'll be the sequel.
Now, another thing. So, AJ loves titles. I love IMDb entries. So, I love reading the parental advisory and the trivia section. And I love, especially with films like these, that like trivia is like stretched out as thin as you can. But I saw on
the movie is called Cats and Dogs because there are cats and dogs. However, the second one also features a pigeon, despite the pigeon not being in the title. That's an example.
But the first film under the Parents Guide, so you know, it's I don't know if you guys look at the Parents Guides, but
I do when I want to know if it's a movie I should be watching with my parents or not.
But so it's divided into sex and nudity, violence and whatever, drugs and like gore and like language, and this one under sex and nudity, the first film contains, and I quote, a couple of hugs.
Are they with animals?
No. So it contains a couple of hugs, and then it also says that it contains a reference to dogs having a romantic relationship. But I just love that. Like, the sentence was just a couple of hugs. Like, what parent is like, first of all, what parent is needing to double check cats and dogs? Be like, oh, is this all right for my little ones? And then who is like turning it down because there's a couple of hugs in it?
Maybe the person who'd be concerned about that would be the vice principal at my high school who banned hugs.
There's a story there, AJ. What happened?
Well, it was very ancillary to my high school experience because I wasn't really hugging anyone either way, but there was people like boyfriends and girlfriends would be hugging and they'd be told to separate, and then then we had something called the Burnside Oscars. So my high school was called Burnside High, and the Oscars were like a yearly event where everyone would, 4 people would make a short film and 20 people would watch them in the auditorium. Mm-hmm. And one of the films was called like Free Love or something like that, and it was a documentary about how hugs had been banned at school, and it started amazing. Playing it, and then the vice principal walked up to the tech desk and was like, turn it off. And so we didn't even get to see the whole thing.
That's so funny. And that vice principal is now the new head of Pixar.
I love that your school was so innocent that hugs were banned, and where I'm from there was a high school that had its own daycare. Just to
Whereabouts are you from originally?
I'm from Dunedin.
Ah, of course.
Yeah. Of course. Well, that explains the daycare.
No, you can say that about like wherever people say they're from, and they'll all be like, "Yeah, that's where I'm from." Like because I'm from Christchurch, so is AJ, and like I don't know what it is in Dunedin, but like in Auckland, you say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Auckland," and then people go, "Oh, whereabouts did you live?" And because it's such a big place, and like each part of Auckland is its own, little subcultures. In Christchurch, it's like, if you find out that someone's from Christchurch, you say, "Oh, what school did you go to?" And there's all these like connotations with each school. I haven't learnt any of them, but if it's a girl, you just go, "Oh yeah, lots of pregnancies, I bet," and they're like, "Yeah, that's my school." And if it's a guy, you go, "Oh yeah, like what if it's like an all boys school? It's like, oh yeah, you're all gay then, eh?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, people just say that, but no."
My school's stereotype was that there were a lot of Asians, and our debating team was real good, and neither of those are bad things.
Yeah, mine was that everyone was real into drugs, but that I think that's since gone away because like we got heaps of funding from a mall being built next to the school, or like being expanded next to the school. Yeah, this is all completely off topic. We also had a big earthquake. That was the big thing that happened in our hometown. So
we're back to disasters.
Yes, looped it back round. So the other thing I love, IMDb trivia. So this entry on the first film, most of the night scenes were shot during the day. At night, dogs tend to go to sleep.
That's true. You can't say it's not true.
Yeah. 4 out of 4 people found that useful.
Wow, useful. Not interesting, but useful. They were like, "Why does my dog stop moving when it goes dark?" And then they read the IMDb trivia for Cats and Dogs 2 and was like, that's why.
And to get the dogs to lick their genitals on demand, peanut butter was applied to the necessary areas.
Oh, what the fuck?
Was there dogs licking their genitals in the first movie?
That should be in the sex and nudity section.
Yeah.
I don't recall any dog genital licking. I mean, it's not something that would probably stand out, but I don't think there was any scenes like that.
We now have an audio recording of you saying dog genital licking.
Replace the caw in your opening. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Useful, again.
That's more concerning that people found that one useful. They're like, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone loves peanut butter.
My sister doesn't. I'm not going to get into this.
Well, yeah, she's not.
Move on to the next one.
The next one was, the mother in the film wears... This is so stupid. The mother in the film wears an "Ask Me a Real Estate Question" pin. She would remove it between takes because the crew on set would relentlessly ask her real estate questions.
I like that.
I love the word relentlessly. Oh my God.
The fact they're like, "Oh, great take." Anyway, I was gonna like
the director calls card and everyone like turns Children of the Corn style to her and starts marching towards it, like, "Tell us about real estate," over and over
and finally, the red cell phone used by Elizabeth Perkins was the Nokia 8290.
Good
solid phone.
Who found that useful?
113 people.
That's because they were like, "Oh, I really want that phone."
The one Elizabeth Perkins has.
The one Elizabeth Perkins has.
You know,
and
the
the guy
one?
at the phone store is like, "Oh, from Cats and Dogs." And they're like, yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, let's just look it up." What? And then it was right there. Yeah. So, Nadeshda, what else was on the DVD for you?
The DVD, well, the Blu-ray had better bonus features.
Of course.
There was a quite long video of real life cats and dogs fighting, which you'd question where the footage came from.
Because there was some of that in the credits of the second one, wasn't there?
Yeah. There was a Looney Tunes cartoon that's quite good.
Oh yeah.
And what else was there?
AJ likes the Looney Tunes. AJ's a big Looney Tunes boy, isn't he?
Yep.
What's your favourite? No. Who's your favourite?
I don't like Looney Tunes.
AJ.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah. Anything else of note?
And there was also a gag reel, which, yeah.
Can
there
you
was a gag
tell us
reel.
some of the gags?
I honestly can't. It was late.
Can you
I don't
make
even
some
remember
up?
them. Sure. Kitty Galore.
Nadeshda, you don't have to
Butcher's
make them up.
line.
He's chicking. He's
They
being naughty.
Yeah, oh, go get that cat. Oh, I mean dog. Oh, damn it. There's one.
All right.
There was audio
That's
from
basically the same level of quality as they actually were on the disc.
I got something I want to talk about.
AJ, you bloody go for it, mate.
Okay, when we did the Mask episode a few fortnights ago, we talked about Son of the Mask and how we actually mentioned in it that it was directed by the same guy who directed Cats and Dogs, which makes a lot of sense, and how the effects they used to make the baby and some of the Son of the Mask like emote are quite uncanny and quite freaky. Because it's obviously digitally manipulating just a neutral baby's face, so it kind of looks like proto Snapchat filters and stuff like that. The same thing happens here in Cats and Dogs, but isn't it interesting that because we aren't cats or dogs, it's not as scary? Like, it looks fake, but it doesn't look disturbing.
Yeah, I actually thought the effects weren't that bad in these films. Like, not as bad as you'd expect them to be. I think the first one kind of holds up better than the second one, almost.
Yeah.
Because they used, like, a lot of puppetry and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'd wonder if you're a cat or a dog and you watch these films, if it, like, makes you feel cold and empty because something's just not right about it.
Well, everything.
This movie makes me feel cold and empty just by watching it. I don't think that's cat or dog specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Wait, did you not like these movies, Nadeshda?
Look, I struggled. If I'm going to be honest, I did struggle. And I've had as aforementioned, I work in finance, and it is the end of the financial year here, so I've had quite a chaotic week at work and had to explain to my colleagues why I was grumpy and tired because I'd stayed up late watching Cats and Dogs and Cats and Dogs 2, The Revenge of Kitty Galore, which, I mean, if buying the Blu-ray wasn't embarrassing enough, having to retell that story was.
Yeah.
Did you get your co-workers to like our Facebook page?
I actually have got some people on board. Spreading the
Yay.
love.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, I went to like 3 different stores to try and find the like DVD and Blu-rays, and it was like at the second or third store that I realized I should be looking in the kids section, not just like the normal movie section. But I found like heaps of the first film on Blu-ray, but then I found a multi-pack of both films, and I was real stoked. And anyone who followed our Instagram this week will know what happened, because I went to go put it in to watch the second film, and it wasn't the right region, so I wasn't able to play it because I only have a PlayStation to play it on, not a multi-region DVD player. So
it's so, like, one thing we've learnt for this podcast is that the worst movies are the hardest ones to work out how to watch.
Yeah.
Like, we never had any trouble finding Scream, but, like, the Beethoven 4, we had to, like, stream off some backwards website. And
yeah, like
Cats
some of the
and
real
Dogs 2, you couldn't get
obscure
it.
Godzilla films and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of interest, was the 2-pack the Christmas one?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
No,
disappointing.
I did find the Christmas one though, because we had a discussion about this last week, where one of them, there's like Cats and Dogs on Blu-ray, but it's like Christmassy, but it's, yeah, like AJ said last week, it's just the first movie with like mistletoe on the cover.
So you can hold it above people you like and kiss them.
And they
It's
have
weird,
to kiss you
yeah.
back.
What's crazy, I think, about finding a Blu-ray Christmas version was not that someone made a Christmas version, but that someone made a Blu-ray of Cats and Dogs. Like, there couldn't be a better example of a movie that's forgotten to the ages than Cats and Dogs. Like, it is gone. No one like you said before, it's like you forgot. You could have been convinced that it didn't even exist.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that we're almost as far away from Kitty Galore as we were from the original when Kitty Galore was released?
You should post that to Reddit. Like, it's such a bizarre time trivia thing.
Yeah. Anyway, now we should move on to a little segment we like to call Continue the Franchise. This is where we pitch a new entry in said franchise, cats and dogs, and we, we pitch them and then we have a little bit of a discussion about them.
Cats and or dogs.
Is that your Continue the Franchise?
No, I can make it up on the fly. You get to it's the same. It's Nadeshda. It's your DVD menu where you pick your side, but it's actually a different movie depending on one's from the perspective of the cats, one's from the perspective of the dogs.
That's very cool.
I like that.
Is that actually your Continue the Franchise?
No, that wasn't my idea.
Well, you just wasted it.
Oh, do I only get one?
Yep. Nadeshda, what's yours?
We've got 3 people on this episode. We can't have everyone doing their own ones.
So. Mine would be probably a very blatant rip-off of Austin Powers 2, keeping in the spy theme, where Mr. Tinkles has to go back to the past, and stop Butcher's great-great-grandfather from starting the spy agency.
I like the idea of having a third Cats and Dogs movie parody Austin Powers and not James Bond.
Yeah.
Just to further cement like how irrelevant and backwards and unnecessary the films are.
And I feel like Mr. Tinkles could have, I've just thought of this, Mr. Tinkles has a clone and his name is Minnie Meow.
Very good.
Nice.
Very. Do you have a title for the film?
No working title. You only live 9 times. That works.
Yeah.
What about?
I mean, it's irrelevant to Austin Powers, but
yeah. What about Cats and Dogs 3? Just to really piss me off. Like, just call it Cats and Dogs 3. That would drive me insane.
Can it be Cats and Dogs 3, but the word 3 written out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay.
Well, I think near has there been a show more aptly suited to be a TV show than Cats and Dogs.
You said show.
Fuck, I did. I spoiled it for myself. Damn it. Anyway, this should be a TV show. Like, even if it's
like
just
an animated
2D animated,
series.
or 3D animated. Like, I'm surprised. Like, it seems like Cats and Dogs should have had a TV show in between the 2 movies, and Revenge of Kitty Galore was the last episode of it. That's what it feels like.
They both films feel, well, the first film feels like a failed attempt at launching something.
Yeah.
And the second one feels like an unearned conclusion to whatever was supposed to be launched.
Yeah. But, like Kitty Galore could be the overarching villain of it, and then you'd have, but I would also want to see the line between, hero and villain, but, you have some dog villains sometimes. And so, it's not always the dogs are doing good things, the cats are doing bad. Because you should be able to tune in. It's it'll either be a dog-centric or a cat-centric episode. They're both mainly in it, but one of them is kind of slightly more focused on.
Nice.
And it's called Kitties and Doggos.
Oh, very cool.
No, it's not. It's just called Cats and Dogs.
If it's still on TV now, right?
Yeah.
If it comes out 2002 and it's still on TV now, we'll be able to see how perceptions towards cats and dogs in internet culture has changed. Originally the cats were lol cats, and now it's all about doggos and puppas, and it's all about how how we meme differently.
Yeah. That's the whole. So Keyboard Cat would be a recurring character.
Keyboard Cat's in the credits for Cats and Dogs too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Funny.
Okay, I've got an actual idea that wasn't. What did I say before?
Have used that stupid
Cats and or dogs. That's so good. No, okay. Just calling a movie that is, I find that very entertaining. No, my idea, and it's not called Cats and Dogs. I don't even have a title for it. Surprisingly, maybe we can come up with one.
But you're the title boy.
I know. So it comes out now, and it's a movie about Jeff Goldblum and his family. 17 years on from when they learnt cats and dogs could talk. and they don't know if they made it up. They don't know if they went crazy. Like, maybe the mum denies it ever even happened, and like the kid, Jeff Goldblum's son, whatever his name was, he's haunted by the nightmares where he's like, I have this weird memory from when I was 10 where my family was kidnapped by cats. And they talked, and that can't be right. And he goes to therapy, and the therapist tries to tell him that he's using that to cover up like them actually being kidnapped by like people. And then it turns out it was the cats, and the cats start talking to him again. And he tells his dad, and his dad's like, "No, we left this in the past. It's not going to happen anymore." And it's just a really sad story of what would actually happen if a small amount of humans discovered cats and dogs.
It's called Cats and Dogs, and with an exclamation mark and a question mark.
Talking?
Yeah. No, that's cool.
It's called Humans.
Oh. It's really deep, man.
Thank you.
All right, well, I mean, we've been talking for a bloody hour. So that kind of brings us to the end of our episode. We'll do a franchise roulette in just a little bit. But before that, Nadishta, I would love to know whereabouts I can find you on social media and stuff.
Well, you can find me on YouTube, Pop Culture Vulture. If you're confused as to which one it is, look out for the caw at the end and beginning of every video now.
That's how you can tell.
Yeah, so you can tell it's authentic. Pop Culture Vulture's on Instagram, pop.culture.vulture, or you can look me up on Facebook, same again, Pop Culture Vulture.
Awesome. And that's not just for me to find, like anyone listening. Feel free to find.
This is an open invitation.
Yeah. And I've noticed that you're pretty, what's the word? You interact with your fans.
I do. I try and reply to every comment. I like to keep the community going.
Yeah.
So if you write me a message, I might even write you back, as if that holds some sort of value.
Yeah. I mean, I did comment on something of yours like a week ago, and you didn't reply. You just liked the comment. But that's neither here nor there. All right. So for what we do here is franchise roulette, where I will pull up the list, and Nadishta, where you've got the arduous task of giving us a number between 1 and...
What and what?
Fuck it. What a time to not load, eh? Here you go. 1 and 303.
Oh, let's go number 93.
Oh.
Do.
I don't feel good about this.
This is a good one.
Oh, good.
All right, so it's going to take us a while, and you've just given us the next month of content.
No. What happened?
Because, AJ, can you guess what it is?
Is it James Bond?
No.
Oh, imagine if we got James Bond after killing Galore.
No, but it is another dog franchise.
No way.
Because number 93 is the 5 Earbud films, and we agreed to do Earbuddies on the following episode, which is 9 films.
Nadishta, you've ruined us. This is our third
brilliant.
dog franchise in a row. Oh my gosh.
What's Earbuddies? What's...
So there's Earbud, which is the what's it called?
Basketball playing.
Yeah, it's like plays
Golden
basketball
Retriever?
and he plays soccer and
Golden Retriever.
yeah.
7th inning fetch.
And then after that, they did a spin-off series which has like almost double the films in it, and that's called Earbuddies.
And is it just lots
puppies.
of... Oh.
Yeah, well, there's like
the first one's called
Buddies,
Ear Buddies.
and then there's like Snow Buddies. So they did like a spin-off again. I mean, feel free to join us for those if you.
Yeah, this is your penance for it.
Or,
Man,
even if you're not guest starring, just feel free to watch along at home.
yeah. When we did the Scream series a couple fortnights ago, And we have had glowing reviews for that. We've had people be like, oh, it's so good to hear you guys talk about movies that you love for a change, and like, you know, like tripping over your words with adoration for movies. And like, I want to give that to people. I want to be able to be like, yeah, I loved this movie, but what we've learned is just the majority of franchises are real bad.
Yeah.
And so we end up in this situation where people want us to watch movies that we like, but we don't get to choose the movies, and we just end up watching Air Bud and Air Buddies and Snow Buddies and Santa Buddies and the Return of Santa Paws and Space Buddies, and I can't remember anymore, but I'm sure we'll become very acquainted.
Yeah,
with
there's a lot of films.
So to all those who listen and really want us to watch a good franchise, too bad.
This could be it. This could be it.
Maybe we'll love it. Yeah.
I do know one piece of trivia about Earbud that I like, which I should say for next week.
Yeah.
Even though you'll be doing the research, but you'll find it out, and you'll know what I mean.
Anyway, if you want to find us, not you, Nadeshda, well, if you want, you know.
She already knows where we are.
The listeners, you can find Cult Popture on Facebook and YouTube primarily. We also have Twitter. We also have Instagram. You can also email us at cultpopturemedia@gmail.com. And we've also just started dipping a toe in merch and selling some shirts, which you can on Teespring if you want. There's no expectation. We're not like, why aren't we selling any? We've sold some, but mostly to friends and family. So if you want to buy, we're currently selling our Jurassic Popture logo, which is a kiwi skeleton. That looks like another franchise's logo that I feel like I shouldn't mention, just in case I get, you know,
in case
done.
they like the copyright people haven't noticed yet.
Yeah. And we also have one called Popture Cola, which is a classic Cult Popture logo that resembles a certain soda monolith,
and it's
that
not
I also
Pepsi.
don't want to mention. So you can buy them if you want. You can also get a Jurassic Popture mug. However, it's like $40, so don't get it. I would feel bad if anyone got the mug.
Do you know what's funny? Is that like I'm sorry to bring up your gender again, Nadeshda, but the last two times we had we did have Kate in the middle of it, but two of our like four female guests we've had are like the only two times we've like asked for anything monetary on the podcast. But like no, because when we had Amanda was when we announced doing Movember and you know inviting donations. And it's this awkward thing of like, yeah, Nadeshda, we expect you to buy a shirt now because
no, not at all.
Women be shopping. Women be shopping.
Yeah. No, that's not it.
You know, it's the end of the financial year. You just want to splurge. Why not buy a Cult Popture t-shirt?
I've actually they're pretty cool t-shirts. I've seen them on
thank
Facebook.
you.
They're pretty rad. Who does the graphics from?
Me.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've gone all red.
All right. Well, yeah, that's all from me. Any final thoughts from you guys?
On cats and dogs?
Or just in general? Anything you're thinking about?
Nah.
Nadeshda?
Nothing on my end.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for... This is like... Yeah, it's been lovely having you on. Yeah, AJ just messaged you, and then this beautiful podcast sprang from that, which is just about the best thing you can hope for, just sliding into someone's DMs on Instagram.
Yeah. That's my strategy is I slide into DMs and be like, do you want to be on my podcast?
And it works. It's had 100% success rating.
I've not on Instagram, but we've got guests from Reddit before. So
yeah,
you go.
but yeah, thank you. And just so everyone knows that this is an official Pop Culture Vulture production, why don't you sign us off in the way that only you can?
Oh, happily. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Together with